Angel Reese just got the boot from Unrivaled, and the silence surrounding it says more than any official statement ever could. The league that crowned her as their first ever champion, that plastered her face across every promotional banner and highlight reel, just erased her existence overnight. No farewell post, no press release, nothing. It's like she vanished from the league's history altogether. And according to multiple insiders, this wasn't about money, scheduling, or even injuries. This was personal. The league that once built its brand around her fiery personality decided she was no longer worth the chaos that came with it. What really went down behind those closed doors that made Unrivaled decide Angel Reese wasn't part of their future? When Unrivaled unveiled its 2025 lineup, fans immediately noticed one glaring omission. Every major star was there, every rising face featured prominently, except Reese. There wasn't even an attempt to spin it. Insiders say league executives had been holding quiet meetings for months, debating if Reese's off-court drama outweighed her on-court value. And eventually, they reached a unanimous verdict. She had to go. But her downfall didn't start with Unrivaled. It had been brewing for months, maybe even years, across every team and every opportunity she touched. Last season, while her teammates fought tooth and nail through the playoffs, Reese was nowhere to be found. The self-proclaimed face of the league didn't show up for the biggest games of the year, and when her team won without her, she FaceTimed into the celebration like a ghost haunting the moment she should have owned. That image of her smiling through a screen while her teammates popped champagne on the court became a symbol of what went wrong. Behind closed doors, teammates were furious. They kept it professional in public, but inside the locker room, her absence spoke volumes. It wasn't just about missing games, it was about what that absence said about her priorities. And the same story kept repeating in Chicago. The Sky organization had been walking on eggshells with her for months. There were the mysterious injuries that somehow cleared up just in time for photo shoots, the technical fouls that shifted momentum at critical points, and the endless stream of turnovers while she seemed more focused on curating her next Instagram post than locking down a defensive board. One Sky player even told a reporter that the energy in the locker room changed completely when she showed up, and not in a good way. The constant distraction, the drama, the need for everything to revolve around her, it wore people down. By the time Unrivaled Season 1 ended, everyone knew something had to give. Then came the numbers. Internal data leaked earlier this year painted a brutal picture. Unrivaled's viewership dropped by nearly 70% after the first weekend of promoting Reese as their centerpiece. The league went from 300,000 viewers to barely 100,000. Sure, her highlight clips and trash talk moments racked up millions of views online, but none of it translated into people actually watching games. The marketing team called it the diminishing returns effect. Every scandal gave a quick engagement boost, but it never lasted. Sponsors were starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Why wasn't the controversy converting to cash? Why were fans tuning out instead of in? The marketing department's internal memo reportedly said it best. We're running a basketball league, not a reality show. For a while, it looked like Unrivaled might embrace the chaos, but the cost was too high. Fans weren't sticking around for the basketball. They came for the spectacle, and once the spectacle grew predictable, they left. Meanwhile, players like Sophie Cunningham were quietly building their reputations through professionalism and team spirit, the kind of traits the league now saw as its future. And then there was Caitlin Clark, the perfect counterexample. She didn't need drama to fill seats. Her skill did that for her. Behind the scenes, things got even more complicated. When Unrivaled cut ties, other leagues started paying attention. Athletes Unlimited reportedly discussed bringing Reese in, but backed off after seeing how the situation unfolded. Even overseas leagues, usually eager to sign recognizable American names, grew cautious. The word had spread. Angel Reese was unreliable when it mattered most. Former teammates began to whisper about her checking her phone during timeouts, scrolling through social media while coaches tried to draw plays. Others said she'd discuss podcast topics in the middle of team meetings. That divide between her public image, the fierce, hungry competitor, and the behind-the-scenes reality became impossible to ignore. Financially, she wasn't helping herself either. Reese was reportedly asking for over $250,000 for Season 2, one of the highest salaries in the league, but executives couldn't justify it anymore. Her jersey sales had peaked months ago. Ticket sales didn't spike in her cities. Her brand power was dwindling while her controversies multiplied. And when Unrivaled executives sat down to evaluate return on investment, the numbers told a simple story. Players earning half her salary were delivering twice the results. But the breaking point came in early January. During a conference call between Unrivaled and WNBA officials, they talked about the long-term damage of building brands around chaos. Sure, it gets quick attention, but it destroys credibility. They compared Reese's drama-fueled marketing to the stability and respect Caitlin Clark's game-first approach had built. They agreed the sport couldn't keep feeding on controversy if it wanted to grow. That call sealed Reese's fate. Unrivaled's leadership decided it was time to evolve, and she wasn't part of that evolution. When Reese's camp learned she was being left off the Season 2 roster, they reportedly scrambled. They offered pay cuts, promises of better conduct, even pitched a redemption arc storyline. But the league didn't bite. The response was cold, final, and deliberate. We've moved on. In that moment, the message to every player in women's basketball was loud and clear. No one is bigger than the game. You can't sell professionalism and unpredictability in the same breath. Now, Reese's situation is a cautionary tale spreading across the industry. College players are being told by their agents to avoid the Reese route, to focus on team play, consistency, and respect for the sport. Coaches are using her downfall as a warning about ego and entitlement. Even brands that once lined up to sign her are pulling away quietly, choosing not to associate with controversy. And back in Chicago, the Sky are reportedly exploring trade options, but nobody seems willing to take the risk. Teams that could use her talent don't want her drama. Teams that have structure don't want the disruption. She's become basketball's paradox. Too famous to ignore, too difficult to manage. The quiet nature of her removal makes it even more brutal. There was no spectacle, no official fallout, just silence. The kind that speaks louder than any press conference ever could. It's the sport's equivalent of being ghosted. And everyone in the league knows what that means. She's not worth the trouble anymore. For years, women's basketball has fought for attention by leaning on big personalities and viral moments. But Unrivaled's decision marks a turning point. The sport is growing up. The focus is shifting from hype to heritage, from followers to fundamentals. They're choosing credibility over clicks. Even players inside Unrivaled are reportedly relieved. One insider said practices have been more focused and collaborative since the Reese drama ended. The energy shifted. There's a new sense of purpose, of professionalism, of players simply wanting to play ball without the shadow of a social media circus hanging over them. And it's working. Team chemistry is improving. Fans are noticing the difference. The product on the court feels cleaner, more competitive, more real. So maybe, in a strange way, Angel Reese's downfall was the wake-up call women's basketball needed. Maybe it forced everyone to grow up a little. The lesson is simple. The game will always outlast the drama. The court doesn't care about your brand deals, your followers, or your hashtags. It only cares if you show up and perform, and in the end, that's where Reese fell short. She had the spotlight, the endorsements, and the chance to become a generational star, but she couldn't escape her own shadow. Now the world is watching to see what comes next. Will Reese rebuild her career somewhere new, or will this be the moment that defines her forever? Either way, Unrivaled's decision sent shockwaves through the entire sports world. The message is crystal clear. Professionalism isn't optional anymore. It's the standard. What do you think? Did Unrivaled make the right call cutting ties with Angel Reese, or did they just lose one of their biggest stars? Drop your thoughts below, and if you love deep dives into women's basketball drama and the politics shaping the sport, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Because trust me, this story is far from over and you'll want to be here when the next chapter unfolds.